Welcome back to Endless Ocean. This time we're going to go and place some sonar buoys. Because that's the thing we gotta do to find this whale. Not much else to it. Gonna bring down Horatio with us for our first ever dive together. We'll see how much better he fares than our old pal Skippy. Kind of setting the bar a little low there, but it'll be hard for him to disappoint us that way. Then again, with a name like Horatio, how can he not be awesome? It's a damn good name, that is. Now, when you dive in any of the sonar buoy placement areas, you get this little prompt from Catherine, and then she gives you some cardinal directions which lead you to where she wants you to place the buoy. It's kind of a stupid little mini-game of sorts, and it's really very simple. There's not much to it. Just gotta find the exact place she wanted you to place that buoy at, which I misunderstood. It was actually the coral over here in the trench. Yep, and that's all there is to it. Yep, we have to do this a total of 5 times, and most of them are really about as exciting as this one is. Not at all. But they're pretty quick, so it's not a big deal. We'll be getting them all done rather quickly this video. So yeah, this formula is going to be repeating itself quite heavily here. It's not really going to be much variation. It's kind of lazy feeling, especially since this is basically the penultimate part of the game. At least there's a Cape Fur seal. As you can tell by the Cape Fur seal, it is in fact related to the sea lion, and it's found in both South Africa, the Cape, as well as in Australia. Cape Fur seals are rather inquisitive and like to follow divers around when they're underwater. Sadly, you cannot get one as a companion in the game. Bit disappointed about that. Also, I just dived some here. You didn't miss anything. We cleared out some map though, and that's important. We gotta get to 90% map completion in order for a thing to happen. And we'll probably take care of that while we are placing these buoys. An odd thing about all of these sonar placement areas is that they're, generally speaking, areas devoid of much unique fish. They're very dull areas of the ocean. I guess it's their way of attempting to clear out map in areas you would not otherwise go to. Which is kind of stupid and kind of smart at the same time. I suppose it's an efficient way of getting you to get towards 100% map completion. On the other hand, why didn't they just put more interesting things everywhere rather than centralizing them to a few areas? I mean, yeah, this is near the abyss right now, which is of course cool, and there are some neat things that appear at the entrance to the abyss. But the area immediately around it, as you might recall from past updates, is kind of empty. There's some monkfish down here, and that's basically it. There's really nothing else here, and you dart down for 40 seconds or so, and that's it for replacing the sonar. Good job, team, you know. Really, there's nothing to these things. However, it is a good excuse to talk about sonar in general. Sonar is one of those weird words that started as an acronym but became a standalone word over time due to its overuse and separation from its original meaning. It stands for Sound Navigation and Ranging, sonar. There are 2 types of sonar technology: passive sonar, which listens for sounds made by vessels and other detectables, and active sonar, which emits pulses of sounds whose echoes are then listened to. The sound and echo characteristics can then be used to determine locations and distances, shapes, and so on. Particularly with active sonar. Passive sonar, you can use the sound characteristics in terms of the signature to identify things. Passive sonar was first recorded in use by Leonardo da Vinci in 1490. He documented that, hey, if you stuck a tube in the water and you place your ear to the tube, you can detect vessels in the water. Who'da thunk? Of course, animals have been using active sonar for millions of years, such as by dolphins and bats. Natural sonar is known as, of course, echolocation, and bats and dolphins use it to hunt and also determine their way around hazards. The big thing that set sonar technology on the move was the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. That's when people started realizing we could probably use some sort of way to echolocate and detect hazards in the water. The first patent for an underwater echo ranging device was filed in a month after the Titanic was sunk by an English meteorologist, Louis Richardson. Though really there was a lot of scrambling by Western entrepreneurs, inventors, and of course countries to develop such technology, both for safety purposes in harbors as well as for detection purposes in military settings. The first major military developments were done during World War I by Britain and France, and ultimately by World War II, most of the countries involved had some form of sonar. The term itself was developed in the 30s by American engineers as the equivalent to the term radar, for rather obvious reasons. It's not really made clear which type of sonar is used by these buoys. As you will see in time, it seems to be some sort of mixture of the two, maybe both. Which I suppose is good for redundancy. It makes it so you're very sure what you're getting when you're having an automated system confirm your target by both forms of sonar. Still seems daft as hell. This is a tiny little sea by comparison to the migratory path of a giant whale of some kind. Whales are big. They cover a lot of area. 5 buoys placed a couple kilometers apart is not much at all. Oh well, only 2 left. A fun fact, though, is that the amount of repeat and often very deep diving that our divers been taking thus far probably would have killed them by now. Because the more often you dive within a short period of time, the more likely nitrogen is to build up in your blood. He's been up and down very often in the past quote-unquote day in game, and he does not take decompression stops. He'd be pretty dead right now. But of course, he's pretty much invulnerable, so what does it matter? Neither gas, animal, or God are any threat to our diver. Well, back to the boat, I guess. Except I can't seem to move. Oh no! The idol's curse! It's upon me! The true danger was here all along! Lurking! Green! Algae! No, I don't have a dive knife. Why don't I have a dive knife? Well, this is it, folks. The death of our diver. To algae. The silent killer. Help me, dolphins! Come to my dolphin friends. Yeah, you kick the shit out of that algae. You show that kelp who's boss, fist pump. Well, yeah, I've been using this whistle for a while. Also, I got a bracelet and a necklace. So yes, the only thing apparently threatening to our diver in this game is algae. Deadly, deadly seaweed. No, I don't get it either. Thank you for your help, though, Horatio. You are a true pal. Also Skippy. He helped too. Let this be a lesson to those of you at home. If you're near seaweed and you happen to get stuck, summon dolphins to rescue you. They're quite good at it. Okay, nobody had control over that. What are you giving me trouble about this over? I couldn't have done anything about it. You couldn't have done anything about it. Oh, so your dad died from algae while investigating the whale god whale. Probably where we found that stopwatch, I would presume. How did you determine that? Did he just vanish and you just figured out that he died in algae? Did you find his corpse entangled underwater? How did that happen? But seriously, getting caught in things is an actual threat while you're underwater, particularly tangling things such as kelp, seaweed, algae, rope, which aren't any of those three things. Other things like that. That's generally why people carry such things as dive knives. You can cut yourself free. I'm not sure why our diver friend doesn't have one. Really, it's kind of standard gear. I mean, I know he's kind of scuba diving Jesus, but come on. Yeah, you get stuck in things. You need a knife to get yourself free. That's what it's there for. Wait, what? Wait, what? 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 Why didn't you say this before? What? Oh, this is just fucking bullshit wasting our time. What is with this? It's arbitrary. It's gonna take us 30 seconds. Why does it have to be sun out? Come on. Honestly, come on. Especially since gameplay-wise, it's just pressing the clock once. And you know what? Fuck that. We're gonna go do something else right now. We're gonna go clear out a little bit more map. Right over here. It's a nice little chunk here. Should give us to 90%. Going to the bottom of an eternally dark abyss is less dangerous than seaweed. Riding a ghost ship to parts unknown is less dangerous than seaweed. A god of death in shark form is less dangerous than seaweed. Reconstructing an ancient evil's cursed idol is less dangerous than seaweed. Unless this is some sort of joint karmic payoff where all the forces maligned against us have pooled together their strength, and particularly grippy kelp is the best thing they can manage. Just how invulnerable is the diver if that's the best that could be thrown against him by the forces of whatever? Guess this means we hit our 90% map completion. Gonna ignore that dive request. Crag shaped like a face. Now, where could we find a crag shaped like a face? I have an idea. Unfortunately, it means going back to the Moia Atoll. Fortunately, there is something else there that was just pointed out to me that I missed. And while again I'm not looking to be all completionistic about this game, it's something I think worth talking about now. Over here on these rocks, you can find horseshoe crabs. Specifically the Japanese subspecies, but they're all pretty closely related. Or rather, like horseshoe crabs, they're very neat animals. And there's really nothing alive on our Earth that looks quite like them. At least that's alive anymore. Trokujo is a big fan of them himself, and he'd like to tell you a little bit about them.
Limulids are much more commonly horseshoe crabs or arthropods that live in shallow marine environments. While not true crabs, they're part of the subphylum Chelicerata, the same group that includes scorpions, spiders, and mites. You may be wondering why not just call them sea spiders or sea scorpions. Well, those are different things. Horseshoe crabs are ancient animals, like really ancient. They're damn near identical to fossils dating back to the Jurassic period. You can just sort of sense by looking at these things that they're ancient. They just look anachronistic somehow. There are 4 species of horseshoe crab known today. The one Zorak found, eventually, is the Japanese horseshoe crab. Guess where they live? Holy crap, you're right. You also have the giant horseshoe crab and the mangrove horseshoe crabs found all around Southeast Asia. The 4th one is the Atlantic horseshoe crab, found all down the Atlantic coast of North America to the Gulf of Mexico. Check out the armor covering these things. They are completely covered in armor plating. Underneath they have 6 pairs of legs used all for locomotion and moving the worms and mollusks they most commonly eat to their mouths. They've also got a simple pair of book lungs, similar to most spiders and scorpions, behind these legs. Common thing told by people living along the coast that their long pointy armored tail is a stinger. It's not. It's not at all. It's rigid and stiff and it's just pointy. The horseshoe crab is completely harmless. In fact, if you ever, happen to find one somewhere, you should stick your hand in its legs. Come on, do it. Feels good, man. They actually use these tails to right themselves if they get flipped over by planting it into the sand and using it as a lever. For a long time, horseshoe crabs were considered junk animals. Even in Southeast Asia, they're seldom eaten. Not only do they not have a taste of what little meat they have, their eggs have been known to have tetrodotoxin present. Fishermen in the North Atlantic have long used horseshoe crab meat as bait for eels and as fertilizer. However, as of recent times, their population has dropped significantly to the point there is a permanent moratorium on their harvest in South Carolina and a temporary one in New Jersey and Delaware. The drop in population is actually having a notable effect on the migratory shorebirds that feed on the horseshoe crab eggs during the breeding season. Their most notable use to humans, though, is their blood. Horseshoe crab blood is different from our own and other mammals in that it doesn't have hemoglobin, but hemocyanin. Due to the copper in hemocyanin, limulids have blue blood. We use the blood of the Atlantic horseshoe crab for the detection of bacterial endotoxins. Acquiring the blood is simple. You collect the crabs, you bleed it out, and then you release it back to the sea. The crabs almost always survive and we get their blood. Perhaps it's us. We were the sea Draculas all along.
Back to looking for that face. There it is. There's the face. Can you see it? It's kind of worn and not really something you'd notice unless you're looking for it, but yeah, there's definitely a face there. Why not? And we got the Jewel of Life. Another mysterious bauble that will end up on our person, I'm sure. Yep, we found a Magatama. Particularly during the Jomon period. It did end up getting imported to certain other countries in the area. Maybe. Maybe we can befriend orca whales with it. But we haven't even found or seen a orca whale. How can we befriend one if we don't know where it will show up? We'll look into that later. For now, let's go take care of this X. Finally. We do need to change it to the day, because the game's being a dick about it. And now into the water, to place the final buoy, and finally get to doing other things. I hope there's no kelp waiting down there to ambush us. This one should be immediately apparent where you're setting it. See how long it takes you to figure out where it'll end up being. Yeah. It's the barrel sponge, right about here. Fortunately, the camera's a bit weird when you're trying to do these vertical dives. Yeah. There, we're done. Now to see if we can finally find the Ancient Mother. First, though, let's pop our head through the surface and see. That's our boat. And there's the pirate ship. Might be wondering why I found where the pirate ship is? Well, we're gonna be going there next time. Because we never went there during the day. And there might be something there of interest now. You know, maybe. I'm not saying there is, but there might be, you know. It's possible. Great, now I thought of dolphins tripping over the sonar buoys. Thanks for that, Catherine. That's all I'm going to be thinking about. Well, there are some blue whales in the Monolith. See, you do realize this. We've touched them before. Don't you want to aim for something explicitly bigger than a blue whale? Not, you know? Whatever. That's it for this update. See you next time.